Hi everybody, it's Susan from Sunrise Quilt Studio, and today I have another vintage block for you. This one is called Flower Pot, and it is a basket block, but this one is fairly simple. It doesn't have as many pieces as a lot of basket blocks that you will see, so I thought I would start with this one. I do have another basket block planned that has a lot more pieces, so I thought I would start with this one. There's a little trick to this on how to put it together, and other than that, it's pretty much just half square triangles and rectangles, and just kind of the basic stuff that you learn as you're quilting. So it actually goes together pretty easily, but it's the order of putting things together that's the trick. So I will show you in this video how I'm going to put this block together. Here are the pieces you're going to need to make the flower pot block. For piece A, you'll need 2 that are 4 7/8 inch square, and then you're going to cut one of those pieces in half on the diagonal. For B, you'll need 3 that are 2 7/8, and you'll cut one of those on the diagonal. And C is 4 7/8. You'll need 2 of those. One you're going to cut on the diagonal, and the other one you're going to draw a line on the wrong side on the diagonal. D is 2.5 by 6.5. You need 2 of those. E, you need 1 that is 2.5 inches square. And F is 3 pieces 2 7/8 inch square, and then you're going to cut one of those on the diagonal, and then the other 2 you're going to draw a line on the wrong side on the diagonal. One thing I wanted to show you was on the layout of this block that what we're going to do is we're going to make this section and this section separate, and then we're going to sew those 2 together, and then we'll add these 2 pieces and this one here. So the first thing you can do, you can either work on these half square triangles here or this one here, and what I prefer to do is just to do this section here and kind of get it out of the way, and then work on this section here. So what I need to do is to take the A piece that I haven't cut in half and pair that up with the C piece that has the line drawn on it. I'm going to put those right sides together, and then sew a 1/4 inch away on both sides of that line. Okay, so I have that sewn, and then I'm going to take my scissors and just cut it on that drawn line. Of course, you can use your rotary cutter and mat if you want to. That's how I'm going to do it. And then I have my half square triangle. So I'm going to go ahead and press this towards the pink, and then I'm going to trim the dog ears off. And I'm going to set this extra one to the side, and that can go in the next block. Okay, I sewed this triangle on first, and then I sewed that triangle on, and I pressed as I went, so I need to press this one over. I'm just going to give that a quick press. And then we have the full triangle. Now it's a little bit big, so we can always trim that down. And we've got to trim those dog ears anyway, so what I want to do is to trim that down so I have a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I am putting my 1/4 inch line there, and I am lining up with the seam here so that I'm getting this straight, and then I will trim that off. There we go. So this way our next unit will fit on this a little bit easier. So the next thing we need to do is to make these half square triangles. So those will be the B units, and we're going to use the B's and the F squares. So we'll have F triangles and B triangles left, and we'll use those later. So we're going to do the same thing we did with this unit here. We're just going to put right sides together and stitch a 1/4 inch away from both sides of the drawn line. Do the same with this one. Okay, then I'm going to take my scissors and then trim or cut these in half. And so now I have 4 half square triangles, and I'm going to press these towards the dark side. Okay, so now we have all of these pieces done, and now we need to do this part of the block. So I'm going to lay them out just like they are here in my sample block. So I need to sew 2 in this direction and 2 in that, and if you put them side by side you can see that they aren't going in the same direction. So you do need to make sure that you have them facing, they need to be facing in towards the center of the block. And once we get these sewed, we're going to take the E 2.5 inch square, and then that is going to go here. So I'm going to sew that to these 2 here. So I'm going to sew these 3 together, these 2 together, and then they're all going to be sewn onto the C triangle. So I will sew these 2 together, these 3 together, and then sew this unit to here, and then sew this unit to these. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust the camera so you can see the sewing machine, and I'll start sewing the half square triangles together. So I'm just going to chain piece these right through. Okay, so this is the set that gets the white square sewn to it. So I'm just going to go ahead and sew that, and then I will press. I've got this unit sewn, and I press towards the square, the background square, and then I press this seam towards the dark triangle because I want to be able to see this point here when I sew it together with the large background triangle. So that one's sewn, and then here is this unit, and I press this one the same way I press towards the dark square. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sew these two together. So I'm just going to put them right sides together, and then I'm just going to watch the point here on that triangle. Okay, so here we have that, and I'm going to press towards the triangle. Okay, so there is the front, there's the back, press towards the triangle, and then this section here is going to go there. So we'll make this, it looks like kind of like a half a bear paw unit, and I need to nest my seams together here. And I'm going to place a pin and just line up the raw edges and then sew, and then watch this point right there. So here we have this much. I'm going to press again towards the background triangle. Okay, I have dog ears on the end, so I'm going to trim them off. Okay, now we've got, it's not quite a triangle yet. We've got these edges here we need to fill in. So that is where the F square that we cut in half, that's where that comes in. And I'm going to line those up so that it forms a triangle on both sides. So we're going to fold that over and stitch. Okay, so we have that. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now we have this side done, and now we need to do this side. So we'll do the same thing. We need to put this one on this direction. Okay, so now I have a triangle, and I need to press these, and I'll just press towards the triangle. So once again, we have dog ears down here and here. I'm going to trim them off. So I'm going to go ahead, I've already got these sides pressed, and I'm going to take this unit here. I'm going to sew these two together. So I want to check, you can see the sizes aren't exactly the same, they're a little bit off. I want to check my seam here. So I'm going to get my cutting mat, and then I want to check how the 1/4 inch seam allowance is on that. So it's really not too bad. And I'm going to use my 45-degree mark here, which helps. That needs to go a little bit like that though. And then I'll do a little bit of trimming. So it really wasn't too far off. Okay, so now these two pieces can be sewn together. So we're going to just line them up. So I'm going to line up each end. Place a pin. And then place a pin here in the center. Okay, now I have points to match, like here and here, and then underneath on this side there's this one. So I'm going to go ahead and sew from this side so I can see two of them. This one I can see fairly well through the fabric because of my fabric colors, but I can also feel it with my finger. Just keep that in place and then put a pin through the point on this side and where it comes out. I'm just going to mark a line on both sides of my pin. Keep it in place, pull my pin, and then put my pin back in. And then I need to know I need to stitch on that line or on the seam side of that. Okay, let's go ahead and sew this. And watching that point. And I'm watching this point here. And then let's get these points matched up here. Okay, so there we have this much done. So there we go. And one thing I want to show you, we have to press this. We've got to decide which way to press it. And that's all up to you. You can press it open or you can press it to one side. But when you look on the back, you can see what it's doing. It's doing this little curvy thing. That's because these points want to go down here, but you also have a point here, and that's wanting to go up. So one thing you can do is to clip in the seam allowance on this side and press it the way it wants to go. That way you can flip this part up and these two sides down, or you can just work with it and get it to go the way you want to. If you want to press it open or if you want to press it to one side, you can make it do what you want it to do. So what I did is I pressed my seam down, and I think that'll work. So more dog ears, I'll trim those off. Okay, now on my finished block, my sample block, we need to work on this part. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to do these. So I'm going to adjust the camera and show you how I'm going to go about sewing all of that together. Okay, so here's our sample block, and here is the section I want to work on next. Now these pieces are actually mirror imaged from each other. So these are the D background rectangles that go here and here, and then I have the B triangles that will go here and here. So let me move this up, and I'll lay these out in the same orientation. Now if you had a printed fabric or directional fabric, you would see the mirror image a little bit easier. This one is going to go here, and this one is going to go here. So if I laid these side by side, then you can see the triangles are mirror imaged from each other. They're not laying the same direction like that. They have to be mirror imaged. So that's one thing you need to watch on this step. So I'm going to lay them right sides together and then sew on the short edge of the rectangle. There's one side and here's the other. And I'm going to flip this one over so I can put it through with the 90-degree angle first. And then just cut those apart. Okay, so now when I open these, they will be mirror imaged from each other, which is what we're wanting. So I'm going to press these towards the triangle. Okay, now those pieces we need to put on, so we're going to line them up to the sides of the basket. So they're going to go this direction here. So, whoops, wrong piece. They're going to go this direction. This is the piece I want. So I'm going to line it up, lining these edges up here. So what I want is to line up here. Line these two pieces up here. So I'm going to go ahead and pin those. And then just come on down to the bottom there and pin here. So I'm going to sew one side first and then I will put this side on, which will go down here. Okay, so now we have that, and I'm going to press this open before I add the piece onto this side. So I'm going to press it towards this outer piece here. Okay, I have a dog ear here. I'm going to just leave that for right now, and I'm going to turn it this direction, then we're going to sew this piece on. So we'll go ahead and pin that one. All right, we're almost done. Okay, I've got this sewn now, and then I'm going to press this one towards the outside rectangle. So I've got dog ears that I'm going to trim off right there and there. Okay, and you notice I've got a lot of space between here and there. I got about a ½ inch. So I'm going to trim that down to a ¼ inch seam allowance. Okay, so now I need to take the C triangle and sew that on to here. So I'm going to fold it in half and find the center and do a little finger press. Okay, so I'm going to line that up and pin. I'm going to put 2 or 3 pins in there. and then sew here. Now these are all bias edges, so I'm being careful with those. Okay, so here we go. I just need to give it a press and we'll take a look at the block. Okay, so here is the finished block. I think it turned out really nice. So it's not a difficult block as far as the piecing. It's just the order of the piecing that can be a bit confusing. So if you do this block, just try and remember to do it in sections. You've got this section and this section and then this section. So you basically have 3 sections to work on. This one goes really fast. This one takes the longest, and then this section here also goes pretty fast. So just remember to trim your dog ears as you go along, and I think things will go pretty well for you. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video on the flower pot block, and I hope you will give this one a try, and you will find a link to the instructions in the description box below. So I hope you give this one a try and use some of your favorite fabrics in it. These are 1930s reproduction fabrics, and they're several years old. These aren't new, and they're probably all discontinued by now. But you know, any fabrics you like would look nice in this. You only need you know, 2 different colors in your background, and you have a nice 1930s basket block. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and click the notification bell so you'll be notified when the next video comes up. And in the meantime, I hope you're all staying safe and healthy, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. For more quilting ideas, click on the video links, and to keep up with my latest projects, click on the subscribe button. I hope to see you again soon.